Hey everybody, this is Fran from the 5-Minute Modeler, and today we're going to be building train number 86, which is the Grand Rapids to Petoskey freight. We have a few cars to pick up here in the yard, which we'll demonstrate, and then in the second video we'll show the route as it's heading out to Petoskey, and it'll be picking up a few extra cars. First step, we got to grab our caboose from the caboose track here. And we've got one of the newly shopped cabooses. Again, this is 1973-ish. And we're going to pick up that caboose. It's got the nice safety slogan on it. And right now we're using our GP9 4900, which is our switch engine for the day. This engine has a NCE decoder in it. It does not have sound, and that's why we're not recording sound right now. As it pushes the caboose out to the track that you'll be using to make up the train, it's going to take a few minutes. So if you prefer, you can set your YouTube settings to play back at a faster speed, and it'll make the video go a little bit faster. Right now it's pushing it up through the yard lead, or the ladder, and you'll soon see the cars on the various ladder tracks. Now I'm using JMRI to build out my trains. I have about 15 or 16 trains that I run through a week. If you'd like more information on that, just drop me a line and a note in the comments, and we can do more on the JMRI stuff. This is going to push the caboose way down to the end to make sure there's room for the cars. I believe we have starting out about 7 or 8 cars, and we're going to pick up about that many along the route. We don't have any setouts today. JMRI didn't set out any cars there, so just going to be doing some pickups and delivering those to Petoskey. I mentioned I use the NCE decoders. I also use the NCE system, which has been very reliable for me. I have about 10 different locomotives that I use, and they're all outside of, most of them will have NCE decoders, and then there's a few with loc sound, the ones that have sound, and then I've got one Digitrax. So the first set of cars we got to pick up is going to be the hopper cars. We have a string of hopper cars that we need to deliver, but they are sitting on the Petoskey track, but they do not have, they're not in order. So we're going to have to break up this string and ship them out only the ones that they need. Most will be the Grand Trunk hopper cars, but I think there's one Norfolk and Western that's been tagged as well. And you're looking at the again, the throat of the yard. My classification yard has about 6 tracks, and they're generally designated as the destination of the cars. So whether they're going northbound or southbound, the cars will be sorted on that on those tracks, and they're labeled, but you really can't see them in the video. All my switches are Pico switches. These are very reliable for me. I've had some of these switches for, oh gosh, probably 30 years or so, and they continue to work. This layout isn't that old. It's actually, I think, my 3rd large N-scale layout. In this shot, you're going to see us dropping the cars off when they're in order. Then we're going to pull back and drop off the ones we don't need, put them back on the classification track, and then again repeat the process until we get all of the cars that the switch list is requiring. To the right of this video shop will be the engine facility for the yard. This is Hughart Yard in Grand Rapids, formerly Pennsylvania, formerly Grand Rapids in Indiana. We're running at a pretty slow speed right now. However, we could actually run slower. And the nice advantage of that is it does take longer to build the trains. Sometimes it gets boring, no doubt, but for the most part, the slow running trains really is much more realistic and adds to the dynamics of running the trains, making up the trains. Grand Rapids is a pretty big furniture town, or was back in the heyday, and in the background there is the Van Dyke and Petrie Furniture Company. That's a kit bash of two different, actually one kit. I forget where it was. I got it off of eBay for very inexpensively, and I split it in half and extended it to make it a much larger facility. One of the things in N-scale kits is that the buildings tend to be on the smaller side, especially industrial buildings. And so to make them more realistic in a railroad this size, you really want to make them bigger, either by adding on, building them yourself, or kit bashing like in this case. Okay, so it looks like we have the last car of the hopper cars. We're going to then shove those out to the train and to the build track, and then couple them to the caboose. And then once we have those coupled to the caboose, we're going to come back and pull the rest of the cars, which is only a couple of them from the Petoskey classification track. If you've never been to northern Michigan, I highly recommend you head up there sometime in the summertime especially. You've got beautiful lakes. Petoskey sits right on the lake, and just gorgeous views, and the temperature is almost always very moderate. And the lakes are just gorgeous. Okay, now we're going to be picking up the two cars that, unfortunately for the locomotive engineer, they're all the way on the end of the string, so he's got to pull the entire string out and back those into the train. Not a huge deal. And this is a double-throated yard, double-ended yard, so he could have gotten them from the other end, but would have been a lot of moves to run around the train and get them to put them in the right order. So typically the engineer will pull them and then just sort them out as he builds the train up. Generally, any of the southbound trains will use the other yard throat and ladder. You can also see just to the left there a repair facility for the cars. These do light repairs here in Grand Rapids, and any cars that might have issues with wheels and brakes and things like that. Okay, so we've hooked the two cars up. I think it was a box car and a covered hopper. That's what it looked like. And now we're going to pull back the cars we didn't use for the train. We're going to slide those back into the Petoskey Spur classification track, and then we'll go get our engines for this run. One thing I like about these videos, these operational videos, is it does show that you can operate N scale just as you would any other larger scale, HO, O scale, at slow speeds. The quality of the equipment that's come around in the last 15 to 20 years has just been phenomenal. Near the end of the 20th century, it started to really improve, where Atlas and Kato were coming out with some really nice smooth running engines, but the advent of digital command control really turned the page and made it much easier to build and operate a railroad. So now our switch engine is heading towards the engine facility. It's going to store or park over by the sand rack and fueling facility. In the background, we have our two engines. You can see there, the GP38s that'll be pulling this train. And normally, a train this size really wouldn't require that many cars, but we're going to be pulling quite a few loaded cars up the 2.5% grade that we have going up to Petoskey through the helix. So we'll double head it just to make sure we've got enough power there. And as I mentioned, we'll be picking up cars along the way. That'll add to the length of the train. These two engines are consisted together, so they run very smooth at very slow speeds. They do not have sound in them. I have another pair that I do have a low sound decoder in, but these do not. Okay, the train is reversed. Looks like it's getting ready to head north to Petoskey here. Crew's coupled all the cars up and checked the brake lines, and everything seems to be good. This is 1973, so we're still using cabooses. Kind of the exclamation point on the end of the train there. All right, they just cleared the orders for heading out. There you see the train beginning its trek up north. So that's what we have for this video. We'll have a continuation video as the train heads north. We'll show the switching operations there and heading into Petoskey. So thanks again for watching, and really appreciate your support of the channel, and hope you have a great week.